The shining moment of a hockey franchise in a season for all time. A franchise that had been to the finals only once before. A franchise that entered the National Hockey League 25 years ago.
The speed and action of the National Hockey League, now in the Canadian West.
We were a real competitive bunch. Obviously, we were cast-offs and pickups and free agents, and but it was a solid bunch of guys. We had good leadership with Orland Curtin back.
It was a great opportunity for me because I had a back fusion when I was in New York, and I lost virtually 2 years of my hockey career. And for me, it was a telling time in terms of whether I was going to be able to turn it around in terms of the injuries. And it turned out to be great. I got off to a good start, and the club got off to a good start, and we had a nice combination of individuals, which I think most clubs look for and can't buy in terms of in the dressing room. We had toughness, we had togetherness. It was nice.
When you think of the character on that hockey club, Ted Taylors and Dokes, and we competed real well. In fact, up until we lost Orland at Christmas, just after Christmas time, we had a playoff position, and we just didn't have the depth to replace him, especially a leader of that sort.
Well, the first-year team was a pretty good team, a tough team, a lot of character. They did pretty well their very first NHL season. But then there was a sort of a dip after that, and there were several years when the team was well below 500. But it wasn't until, 74, 75, when Phil Maloney took over that they got something going. Gary Smith was outstanding in goal. Don Lever, Andre Boudria, there were a lot of good players in that group, and they wound up a first-place team and played Montreal in the playoffs.
Lafleur gets the puck, into Gaining, back for Lafleur in the left corner, centering it, they score!
That was sort of a high point there at that stage, and then the dip came again. And then in the late 70s, when Jake Milford and Harry Neal came on the scene, they started to build with a lot of character players, and of course it got them to the Stanley Cup final in '82.
'82 was pretty exciting. Everything happened quickly, and I'm sure that's the way our players feel to this date right now, that a lot happens quickly. But you know what's really interesting overall is when you get a little bit of momentum, how far that can really take you. And you have your skill, you have your talent, but a lot of it has to do with momentum.
You didn't feel in '82 they had much of a chance to win the Stanley Cup. You hoped maybe they'd win a game or two, and they came close to doing that.
Once you came out for the start of the game, that building was shaking and rattling and rolling, and as a coach watching from up above, I don't think it could got any louder, but I know in '82 when I was on the ice that it was loud down below too.
But the Canucks could not build on that wonderful ride of '82, and it was not until May 1st, 1987, when Pat Quinn began his tenure as Canucks super boss, that the fortunes of the club would rise once more.
Whatever happened to this franchise in the mid-'80s there, or the early '80s, where the confidence in the organization seemed to be gone, and when we had 4,300 season tickets and 9,500 coming to the games, it was pretty scary, I would say. And of course it stayed that way for another couple of years even after I came, and slowly you know, we've become respectable.
This was the stability the franchise needed. So many years there were changes in managers, coaches. But when Pat Quinn arrived and was given the long-term control as the super boss, he really took over, and he preached patience. They gave him time. He's built an excellent organization, a really good team, and it's the best the organization it's been.
Montana, big sky country, quaint towns, picturesque lakes, a place for Canuck captain Trevor Linden to escape the attention and pressures of Vancouver, a place to spend time with family and friends, to relax and rejuvenate, to mend and rebuild, the perfect place to reflect upon the greatest year in the history of the Vancouver Canucks.
Early on, it's tough to tell. Things went pretty well, and we started out playing well, and from that point on, like after 10, 15 games in the season, we got some injuries. And I remember right through Christmas time when we were struggling, we were really thin.
These would be the dog days of the 1993-94 season, a team hovering at the 500 mark.
Players don't really have to read the papers and listen to the media to understand that, you know, they're not playing well and they're struggling, and it's not a whole lot of fun.
But the captain remained supremely confident. He knew just how good this team could be.
One thing I really like is that, you know, we've got a superstar in Pavel who's 23 years old and who's going to score a lot of goals before his time is done. And, you know, our goaltending's in great shape, and we've got a lot of good young players, and a lot of our older guys are in good shape and are going to be around for a while longer yet.
Throughout his reign as Superboss, Pat Quinn has preached stability and patience, waiting for the right deal, the right player to become available, like plucking Martin Jelena from the waiver draft.
The center ice. Ronnie Stern knocked down as he's hit by Martin Jelena.
I was drafted with him in '88 and kind of took different paths. He was traded for Wayne Gretzky, which is really something, and he kind of got a bad break when he went to Quebec. I think that the way the management and coaching staff was there, I don't think they really valued what he could bring to the team, and Pat seen that he came up and jumped on him in a hurry, and we were lucky to get him, and he played great. Boy, that's you know, those are the types of players that put our team over the top.
Like a grade B movie, Pat Quinn describes trying to make a deal for holdout Peter Nedved, a process that lingered for most of the season. Once again, though, patience would win out and the Canucks would gain much-needed depth, courtesy of St. Louis, arming them for a run at the Stanley Cup.
Jeff Brown, in my opinion, was their best defenseman. Housley and Duchesne, I played against both of them guys in the division several times and for a lot of years, and didn't really see a whole lot of Jeff Brown, but in my opinion is the best offensive player, combining his skills with defense. I mean, he's a great passer, shoots the puck very well, and plays real solid defense as well, and we were glad to get him.
Linden goes to the puck, and Leach got a piece of it. Leach moves it and gave it up to Jeff Brown for the long shot.
He's one of the best power play men in the league, and you know, the littlest things make the difference. Just shooting the puck for a deflection or shooting it to score. I mean, Jeff Brown does a great job of that.
To many Canuck fans, it may have been Brett Who, but not to Trevor Linden.
I was excited when we got him because I remember playing against him, and as a forward, when you play against another defenseman and you don't like playing against him, that's the kind of guy you want on your team. And he was just such a great skater and so strong, and had a good shot and could pass the puck well. But his biggest asset is the skating. Is you can't beat him, you can't get around him, and he covers up so well for a guy like Jeff. Of course, Nathan played great. He was a little surprise for me. I didn't really know him too well, but he played real good, and you know, looks like he has a bright future. A lot of people were doubting us, and I think as a team, that brought us closer together. We didn't finish off very well at all, and everyone was a little frustrated, just a little frustrated and just ready to say, well, let's get on with the playoffs and forget about the regular season.
Locker room speeches by key veterans and Captain Trevor Linden prior to Game 1 served as a wake-up call to this 500 hockey club as they surprised the Calgary Flames in Calgary 5-0.
Adams hustles to the puck, no icing. He wins the race for it. Now it comes back to Babbage. Shoots, scores! Dave Babbage drilled it from long range. Great hustle by Adams.
The Canucks would lose the next 3 games. Cue the band for their amazing March of 1994.
I remember Glenn Hanlon coming in, and we're down 3-1, and I'm sitting in the training room, and you know, I'm bumps and bruises and this and that, and not the happiest guy around. And you know, he comes bouncing in like he always does, and is probably the most positive guy you'll ever meet, and says, "Hey, Trev, takes 4 to win, right?" You know, and right from that point on, you kind of, you know, right from the 5 minutes after we'd lost that game and I was sitting in the training room, he came in and said that to me, automatically switched my mindset into the positive part of thing. And those types of things may seem minor, but those can win and lose a series.